Hello, everybody. How you doing today? I love to digitally talk to people. Got Wes Frank here. How you guys doing, buddy?
Doing well.
Awesome. Awesome. So, if you don't know, I have one of the most famous names in coaching. It's just Bubba. It's one word. It's like Prince. It's like Cher. It's just Bubba. That's it. It's amazing. I am the CEO of Corcoran Consulting and Coaching. And if you can't tell, I love what I do for a living. That's just it. And a lot of people say, Bubba, what do you do for a living? Well, and it's funny because I say this. I make people's dreams come true. And they say, that's real cheesy, right, Wes? That's a cheesy statement. But you know what? It's so true. As a company, my job every single day is to wake up and change somebody's life for the better. If it's somebody at Starbucks, we're next to Scott's Air Force Base, I see a guy with a uniform on, I'm buying his coffee behind me. It's those little things. At the end of the day, my little 30-second elevator speech is, we're a coaching and consulting company for small business, mortgage, and real estate. We have 71 clients that have had 94 awards in the Wall Street Journal Real Trends reports by units and volume, of which we have the pleasure of speaking one of them today. What we do is help you build systems. We help you. We're not for individual agents. So look, guys, if you're an individual agent, I got a great coaching company I can refer you to. That's not what we do. And I don't want to bring you on and not be able to give you what you're looking for. There's great companies out there for agents. We coach teams, franchises, independents. That's the level that we do. And I think Wes, can probably, contest to this. When you have one of our coaches working with you, it's the cheapest board of directors you'll ever hire. You agree with that, Wes?
I agree.
That's the level we come on as a coach. It's not. We don't just coach Wes. We're working with Wes as sales managers, operations managers. We're looking at his P&L. We're doing marketing, advertising, interviewing. I mean, it's a very holistic coaching relationship that we have.
Yeah, and customizable to the client too, which is what I appreciate.
Yeah, and look, I'm not here to do a sale. That's not what I'm here for. But everybody asks, "Hey, Bubba, what do you do?" Well, that's what I do. That's what I love doing, and it's a blessing that God's given me the gift to be able to give back. After I've been in this industry since 1988, between owning, believe it or not, I own a collection agency. I had an identity theft protection company, mortgage companies. I'm like that entrepreneur that just opens businesses. That's what I do, and I've always coached and trained and speak. Wes, I mean, literally, I could take the next 59 minutes and talk about Wes. He's absolutely amazing. Wes is Fairbanks, Alaska. We're going to talk today how you went from zero to hero. At the end of the day, I do call you a hero because, you were a helicopter, pilot in protecting our country, and thank you for your service. God bless you for that, buddy.
My pleasure.
But I want to talk, during this, we're going to learn how we started. And it's funny because we were talking about this earlier. I wonder, Wes, how'd you do so great? And your population is, what's your population there, Wes?
Oh, that's a tough number. It's 90,000 in the entire borough, which is, I think, our borough is our county. It's about, 8 times the size of New Jersey or something last time we looked. Okay. But, it's pretty large. It feels like it's about 35,000 people in Fairbanks, about 16,000 out in North Pole, so I'll give you an idea.
Okay. And you did 500 transactions? I mean, roughly rounded. Does that sound good?
Yeah, 579 last year.
That's a market share.
About 25%. Yeah, I've been between 22 to 25 for the last 6 years now.
Well, and we're going to talk, during this conversation, on this hangout, we're going to talk to Wes about business. It's not about how he did 579 transactions. It's how he served 579 families. It's how he serves his community. It's how you build a business. Not to mention, Frank, I appreciate you putting this thing together, viral marketing. We're both clients of viral marketing. They're amazing. It's a great service. I would recommend them to anybody who's listening to this, and tell your friends and family and coworkers about them. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Frank, I apologize. Thanks for coming and putting this thing together. And I'm hoping you're going to interject, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys keep crushing it.
So, look, everybody wants to start with, how'd you get so famous? Look, I could care less about that. Let's talk about true life. So you were a pilot, a helicopter pilot, and then you retired and said, "Oh crap, I'm going to be a realtor." Is that what happened?
Yeah, I actually took a medical retirement. I had 6.5 years in. I loved what I did, being able to fly around, and I was a medevac pilot, so I got to fly Blackhawks around and rescue people in Alaska during non-war time. Then, in wartime, I'm flying an unarmed Blackhawk with big red crosses on it to go pick up people on the battlefield. Right? Yeah. It was insane. It was high adrenaline, a big adrenaline rush, but it was mentally and physically exhausting, and a lot of it was very task intensive. So you ask, well, how did you go from doing that to getting in real estate? Well, I think it was like my first year in real estate. I think we knocked down 75 sales here, and a guy, the top agent here in town, came up to me and goes. He goes, "Hey, where'd you come from? Like, what's the deal? How are you doing this?" And
what are you drinking?
Yeah, I was like, well, if you knew what I did, before real estate, you'd understand, because I got into real estate and the chaos is pretty simple. It was focus on, it's kind of like when I'm flying the aircraft. Trust your instruments, fly the aircraft. I can't, fly tactically. I can't keep the enemy from killing me, but I can, through my training and really being disciplined. With the basics, of what I'm supposed to know as a pilot, as an Army aviator, it's you're able to accomplish the mission safely with your, for your folks. So, anyways, it was a very non-typical transition, but ironically enough, I got out. I was an Army officer, had my MBA. The Army paid for me to get my MBA, and when I came out, I was an Army officer. Helicopter pilot with an MBA, and no one wanted to hire me because they didn't want some newbie. I was like, I can't even get a job here. So finally found a broker that'd take me on, and just wanted to rock it. And really, it kind of all starts. Everyone's got their story of how they fell into real estate. A lot of people fall into real estate. Well, I was military. And so I got to hear all these horror stories. I just kept hearing horror story after horror story of how bad the service was. Like these military families who should be the crown jewel of real estate clients, helping them transition from one base to another. It's a really special thing to be a part of, and they just felt like they weren't getting treated like they should. And I was bound, determined to do something about that. So that's really kind of what got me into the industry. I said, if I could just do an okay job, I'm already doing better than the competition. If I do a great job, man, the possibilities are endless. So.
Well, you stayed with that servant's heart. So it's funny. You talk about all this, and I'm immediately going to say, oh well, Wes is an S personality.
Wes, turn your microphone down just a bit for us, will you? We got some feedback. Go ahead, Bubba.
How's that?
So Wes is taking care of people. You're an S personality, right, Wes?
Yeah, all S. I'm just, behind the scenes, taking care of everybody.
And it's funny because we have a lot of clients that that aren't just real estate, mortgage, small business, and it's funny how you talk about their life stories and how they got where you're at, because what it started at is you having a servant's heart in the military, in a hostile environment, landing a helicopter that could be shot down any minute to go save other people's lives. You do the same thing when you're flying around Alaska, and now we take that same theory and we turn it into what your servant's heart wanted to do for your military. Again, it's kind of where it started at.
Yeah, having that whatever it takes to get that person out of harm's way, really, to take your life, risk it to save another. It's a special thing, and it's an honor and privilege to have been able to do that. And I feel like a lot of those, the ethos that I carried with me during that phase of my life. I mean, I wanted to create a business where we could apply that into something else. And I mean, let's face it, real estate is emotional. These are, especially it is just in general, but in Fairbanks, Alaska, we've got people, you're either selling a house and moving 4,000 miles away, or you're coming up to Alaska for the first time. A large part of it's a very transient environment. People are making huge moves with their families. So it requires a great deal of maturity and expertise really on the part of our real estate experts here to help folks with those transitions.
So you weren't like most of the other real estate, agents out there. You didn't have to spend any money on lead generation or marketing. I mean, you were just military, and all you did was help military, and they just came to you, right?
I wish that was the case. I did, I read a book. I read a bunch of books. I couldn't, and they said hand out business cards. So I was like, great. Well, I just made my rounds. I introduced myself to everybody, and I said, hey, I'm getting out. This is what I'm doing. Here's my cards. If you know anyone looking to buy or sell real estate, and I started getting business right away. Just really just beating the streets and letting everyone know what I was doing. Because ironically enough, I was at Fort Wainwright here. And I knew some people around me in the Army there that I was serving with, but I didn't have any connections in town. I mean, no one knew me. Everyone thinks that I just popped up, and I had to make my own way. I didn't have a foothold in this town. I mean, I didn't have anything. So I just kind of told myself, if I go on a listing appointment, I may not have the most resources. I sure as heck don't have the best, the most experience. But no one was going to outwork me. So getting that across through my listing appointments, word started traveling that, hey, there's this guy, and he's a hustler, and you get what you pay for out of this guy, So anyways, that was word of mouth. I mean, we're a word of mouth town. Anybody that's watching this and is in I think, and Bubba, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that sub 100,000 market, like when I'm in, I mean, those are great markets where you can really dominate through relationship marketing. A lot of the work that we do with Frank and viral marketing to just work our database. I mean, it's a gold mine. I mean, you don't have to be working with strangers. You can really mine your local community and really establish yourself. I mean, we're a household name now, in large part to those efforts.
So I want to talk about that because, again, I asked you that simple question because everybody thinks, oh, he was military. He went up to the base and just got everybody's business, and it's not that easy. I mean, seriously, it's not that easy. It's not spoon-fed business. I mean, you had to work your butt off to get where you're at, and especially in a sub 100,000 population. Now, the good part about it is the name can spread a little bit faster. The bad part about it is the rule of thumb of business. You make one person happy. I mean, you make 100 people happy, they'll tell one person. You piss one person off, they're going to tell 300.
Yeah.
So keeping that reputation is really, that's the hardest part. Getting the business, I don't want to say it's easy, right? But when you start the reputation and it goes one after one after one after one, it's about the experience that they have, and that's why they refer your friends, family, and coworkers. You agree with that?
I do agree. And to tie on to what you're saying, like if you're in a military market, or like maybe you're like me and you transition from the military and you get into real estate, and it was a great thing because for me, when you're in the military, the culture is the culture. There's some things that it does well. There's other things that you're going, oh my God, you're just surrounded in unconscious incompetence, right? Like you're like, oh, why do we do it this way? It's like, well, that's the way we've always done it. And you're going, oh, geez, this drives me crazy. So wanted to get into running your own business, so you can kind of control your destiny in your business a little bit. But remember that if you're in the military and you're transitioning out, all those people that you're serving with, they're usually like 3-year tours. So you may be able to ride that wave of knowing these people after 3 years, but I mean, after a while, after 3 years, they're all new people there on post. So you got to keep, like you said, keep that reputation on that, either Army post, military base, naval station, whatever. You want to make sure that you're establishing yourself as somebody that is there for the veterans and most importantly for the military family. So. Yeah.
And that's funny because I'm sitting here talking, and like I'm telling you guys right now, I have no questions scripted for this thing at all. Wes was such an interesting person. I mean, literally, we could do this thing for hours. But Frank, correct me if I'm wrong. We are going to have chat on there, right? So people can ask questions. If they want to ask specific questions to Wes or to me, you'll be able to tell us to shut up and ask the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some questions here that we'll get to here in a bit.
Okay, cool.
Wes, what people would really like to hear is that you just started this. You have your own brokerage. Did you start originally with your own brokerage?
No, so in the state of Alaska, it takes you 2 years as a real estate salesperson before you can apply for your broker's license. They've now just extended that out to 5 years, thankfully. But so I had to work underneath. I know.
That's
it's still
good.
40 hours of pre-licensing though. 40 hours pre-licensing, then you can like pass your test and actually be a real estate agent here. I think it's like 400 to become a yoga instructor and about 1,650 hours to become a hairstylist. Yeah. Nothing against our hairstylists that are out there. I'm merely just saying in my state. Yeah, I know, right? No comment. But so the bar was set so low. I said, well, hey, if we can just create a training, a culture of accountability, a culture of professional development within our company, and just be the best in the industry. We're going to be the experts. Again, the sky's the limit. So that's what we aim to do there.
How did you start out with your lead generation? Let's talk about how you started getting business from day one, and maybe if there's something you would do differently than what you did. And turn your speakers down a little bit more. There's still some reverb.
Let me know if that's better.
That should be better.
It's like going on a radio show when you're endorsed by Barbara Corcoran. You don't want to have the radio on when you're.
Yeah, right. We started. Like I said, I started pretty old school. I didn't have a lot of money really. I mean, I pressed palms, asked for referrals. I mean, every single time I talked to somebody, I was either setting an appointment or asking for a referral. And really using the right script. I mean, handing a card and saying, hey, I hope if you know anyone, here's my card, and sell them. Just making it a point to say, listen, I got really lofty goals to help as many families as I possibly can this year, and I need your help. I'd like to build my business working with the friends and family, my friends and family, and I consider you one of those people. And if you talk to somebody that could benefit from my services, I'd really appreciate it if you could do a couple things. One, stop the conversation and just tell them about me and what I'm all about. And two, ask if it's okay that I contact them, and then give me their name and number, and I will contact them immediately. Better yet, I'd love it if you just call me right there on the spot. And I would love to be able to take that person and give them red carpet treatment. And what I found was, like, as soon as the thing with the military, and even small towns like this, people always got their guy, right, or gal. And I got my guy. Oh, you need your car worked on. I got a guy over here. You don't need to do a lot of marketing. We think that we got to do all this marketing. It's like, no, just be sincere and excited at the prospect of being able to help people. And people want to give you their business. You start attracting business instead of chasing business. So I started like right off the bat attracting business as opposed to chasing it down. I did hook up with Matt Wagner at Radio and Television Experts, which put us on a different level several years into the business when we were ready for it. But yeah, ultimately it was old school relationship marketing, and we've been at 55 to 65% referral business and sphere of influence business and repeat business since I started in real estate, which has been pretty special. I'm pretty proud of that.
That means you're doing the right thing for the right people.
Yeah. Well, I think like one of the things is I think your actual service, your actual customer service, the experience that you provide the client, that's part of your marketing plan. So if you're not doing surveys both during the transaction and after the transaction's completed and using that as a metric for your marketing, I mean, you need to measure that experience somehow. So if you don't have that in place, and again, Corcoran can help you with all this stuff, setting this stuff up for you, but you got to have a means of, really measuring the client experience and really plugging the holes where you're maybe not providing that raving fan service.
Now, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate, because there's a lot of people that are probably listening to this going, I don't want that. And that gives them an opportunity to complain. What do you say about that?
I want to hear it. I mean, if there's something that bad news doesn't get better with time, like you just said. I mean, that one person tells 300 people, whatever. I mean, I want to nip that stuff in the bud. If there's something, I want all my people to be positive solution-based thinkers. And if there's something that is not going right, sometimes it's like they're easy things. I mean, real estate, we're in the business, so we're in the industry. So the things that we talk about and the nuances in our industry that we deal with on a daily basis, the public does not know. So it's not necessarily, so you can't take it for granted what your clients maybe don't know. So I would really encourage to jump on those things and really to make it better, because a lot of times that's just an opportunity to blow someone away with how you responded to a challenge. because not everything's perfect. In fact, I don't necessarily like it when the deal's really easy. I mean, we've all had an easy deal where you show up at closing and they're like, boy, that was easy. You got paid a lot of money and didn't do anything. But when there's challenges, I want people to think I'm a marriage counselor, you name it. I'm talking clients off the ledge all the time, and that's really appreciative. You can't put a price on that. So that's where you kind of build in that value, in my opinion, in your service.
Well, I don't think a lot of people understand the industry, but I mean, you're a coach. That's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're a divorce coach, a financial coach, a real estate coach, relocation coach. I mean, you really you are that mentor for your clients. And when you think of it that way, that you're there to protect them, there's two things that happen in real estate. Anytime we buy a house, anytime we do something in real estate, there's an emotional and a business decision on everything that we do. So you're there to protect both. Hey, can you financially afford this? How's the monthly payments? How's that? Well, on top of that is keeping them from getting emotionally attached to a property that maybe is out of their limits or it's not the best use for them. And then you get into the arguments because most families are polar opposite. You have an I wife with a C husband or vice versa. So you have to play that person in between. How does that work with your team? Do you work with them on how to be able to talk with people, personality types? Let's talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that when I started growing a team, and because I knew I didn't want to be a solo agent, I wanted to build a business. I wanted to build a sellable business. Couldn't do that underneath I felt like being an independent brokerage model was the way to go, and I still believe that. And the team model just makes sense to me because our people are more successful, and we're more successful working together. I actually didn't really even understand real estate, as the way it's currently practiced. But anyways, that's one of the things that I loved about Corcoran Coaching and Consulting was when I looked at the offering of what's out there in the coaching arena. The Buyer Agent Ramp Up program is single-handedly was probably one of the best pieces of the Corcoran Coaching program. So even if you can't go to one of their boot camps, and you guys do like a buyer mastery boot camp, a listing mastery boot camp, which is great. There's no substitute for getting boots on the ground, going through like a 2 or 3 day boot camp. I mean, they're fantastic, right? But for us, we're in Alaska. I can't send my people down to conferences all the time at $1,000 a plane ticket. But to be able to get a new person in, and even the existing people that I have, and retrain them on lead follow-up and prospecting skills, scripts and dialogues, which is kind of what you were alluding to, and then time management skills. Those are the 3 basic areas that you got to be expert level at, and they are basic. We get too busy like looking at all this ancillary stuff, chasing squirrels, and to really realize it's not. It's really we're in the people business. Mm-hmm. We're not in the houses business. And if you become an expert communicator, the script training and the dialogue training that you guys have offered my people, I know for a fact has been a big part of our success.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Wes. I appreciate that. But it's funny because a lot of people listen to this thing, scripts. Everybody hates scripts. Do you agree with that?
Agreed.
Scripts are horrible. I mean, trust me. I will personally say I hate scripts. Just so everybody's on the same page. Oh. Next is the part that makes the difference is the dialogue. A script is a written word. All it is just keep you on track. Make sure you cover these 6 points. I mean, we teach Help You Mama to cover the 6 points because really you don't have a qualified buyer or seller without those 6 points. You agree with that?
Agree.
And everybody thinks, oh, you know what, we're going to get in these scripts and, Corcoran's going to teach me I got to say this and say that. It's not comfortable. I don't do this. Because the way that you say a script in Alaska is different from some guy in New Jersey versus Texas.
Yep.
Don't be scared of scripts. Scripts are only there to keep you on track. That's the amazing part, is to be able to turn that into your dialogue. And it's funny because, look, I have a coach. Frank has a coach. Wes has a coach. You see, there's something in common here, right? We're not all perfect. We all run great, successful companies. I'm going to say that out loud. We didn't get here on our own.
No.
That's just it. You know, we surrounded ourselves with people. You know, I have a coach that helps me with public speaking and stage speaking and presentations. Absolutely amazing, and I think it's helped my game when I'm on stage. You know, it's those little things that mean the most. And you know, again, I'm not selling coaching. I want everybody to know there's a coach out there for you, even if it's not Corcoran. It doesn't matter. There's another 50 of them out there, and we'll be happy to talk to you about your business. And if we're not right for you, you know what? We'll refer you to the right person. And no, we don't get any referral fees. Nobody pays us a kickback. You know, that's just it at the end of the day. So I want to go back real quick because it looks like we're getting a lot of questions. Frank, you wanna bang away on a couple of those things?
Well,
real quick?
yeah. Well, some of the questions are on the team building aspects, and that's probably where you've exceeded really well. We talked previously, Wes, that you got to a point where you were just completely stressed out. I mean, how many at your peak where it was just you as the rainmaker? How many homes did you personally sell with a few assistants?
That was, I think when I think the second year I was at 128 deals I did by myself, and and it was just, and two poor assistants that. I was mentoring them, but I mean, we were kind of learning as we were going. So there's a lot of things that we learned the hard way. We put in a lot of hours, man. It was just a grind. Made a lot of money, but it was not enjoyable whatsoever. So it was quickly apparent that I needed to build a team and leverage myself out. The first thing was to get the buyer business off my plate because it just took too much time, We got pretty streamlined with the listing side, and we were very disciplined there, and that was obviously a better way for me to leverage my time. So if you're starting out on a team, the first thing you should do is ask yourself, am I cut out to be a great listing agent? And if so, then that's probably where you should spend the majority of your time, because I mean, you could just, from a leverage standpoint, Corcoran can help you put systems in place where it's amazing how little time I actually spend with my sellers, yet they don't feel like I'm not there, if that makes any sense. And then on the buyer side, I mean, then it's about training your buyer agents to get to where they're averaging, 5 showings per offer or less, So really getting those buyer agents to where they're not out showing 40 houses before making a decision, getting them to speed to getting that client to make that like Bubba said, making the emotional and the business decision. And that's a process. You're pulling them through through that transaction, through that decision-making process. So, and that all comes down to that, to really knowing how to communicate with people. So, and as soon as I started doing that, when I hired, I lucked, and let me just say, I think luck is one of those things that I did luck out in hiring my first couple people because they were fantastic. I mean, Jewel Addison's still with me. She's my top buyer agent. She's been with me since the beginning. Randy, who's now married and has a different last name, she's been with me. It'll be 10 years next year. So, I mean, these are people that have been with me from the beginning, and I just happened into some wonderful people there, which helps, and I think it just kind of goes back to don't worry so much about the system or making the process perfect. Worry about really attracting great people and talented, hungry, smart people. They'll figure it out. You don't have to manage those people. You always need to be mentoring them and like Bubba said, coaching them. But if you surround yourself with talented people, and don't be afraid to hire people and attract people that are better than you. You should be looking. I'm always looking to replace me. So looking at what piece of my business can I replace myself in. And it's amazing to let go in that perspective, and all of a sudden this thing starts taking. My company's now at a stage where it's kind of taking on a different. We're ready to take the next chapter. We're going to open up our fourth branch office in Anchorage this summer, and we've got leaders in place. We got a leadership structure and people who are leading the company to the next level. And I'm not necessarily the one driving most of those areas. The people are, and because we've surrounded ourselves and attracted the right talented people. And don't be afraid to look outside the industry too. There's a lot of they don't realize what's available in real estate, because we all think of real estate, right? If you don't know any better, you're outside of the industry. You think of real estate, and you go, it's something something my hairdresser does when they're not, on part-time or something, right? You just the industry as a whole is just not well received or not well respected, in my opinion. They don't really know what's available for them out there with companies like ours that actually offer legitimate sales businesses, high-earning sales businesses that are well supported, so you can make a consistent income. I mean, you start looking at pharmaceutical sales, insurance, medical device. I mean, you look at what some of those industries, what they put their people through travel and the pressure of meeting sales quotas. We got a great environment here, and it's fun. So.
Well, those are publicly traded companies that have to hit earnings every quarter, so they're on you.
Oh, yeah.
And, I want to hit a question real quick, Bubba. I think you just answered this, but the question that Lynn Burley asked, when you first started your brokerage and you had hired your beginning team, what would you say your two most important focus points were? So frame everything you just said. What were your two most important focus points?
Okay. Lynn, good to hear from you. She's great. We had barbecue in St. Louis last time we were there. But anyways, two most important things. Do they fit the culture? That's number one. I mean, you hire to the culture. That takes care of the management challenge, in my opinion. Gosh, that's pretty much the most important thing I look for. And two, I would say, are you prepared? Ask yourself, are you prepared to bring on team members? Okay, so don't bring folks, because there is an amount of mentorship that you got to train people. You can't just bring them on and expect them to figure it all out on their own. Now you need to teach them to become a leader and do things like create systems, because And I'm not a big advocate of job descriptions either. We have job descriptions, but we'll redefine them as we do quarterly reviews as well, because things change, right? I may find that someone's really great at this, or they're really passionate about this, and we may cultivate the opportunity to let them go in that area, because really we're strength finding with our people, right? So I think if you realize that you need to be strength finding, putting people in a position to succeed, hire a culture and make sure that the system's set up for you to, and that's where, again, Corcoran Coaching and Consulting's Buyer Agent Ramp Up program, it literally just takes care of a lot of that burden off you. So by the time I actually start getting to train my agents, they already got the basics down. I don't need to go through that. So that leverages me. So whatever it is I pay per month for coaching, I just got it all. I mean, there's your ROI right there. You got, so yeah.
And it's 8 weeks too for the agent ramp up program for buyer and listing. So it's, we had to look for 8 weeks. But I want to mention something real quick, Wes, before I go over this, because look, I'm a culture freak. And culture gets downplayed a lot. I kind of define culture like a unicorn. Hey, do you know what a unicorn looks like?
No, I've never seen one.
Right? Never seen one, right? But you've seen pictures of it. You know what it looks like. You can describe a unicorn, but can your team describe what your culture is? And that's really the hardest part, is if your team understands the culture, you'll never make a bad hire, because the team helps hire to the culture. And that's it. And a lot of people, they do downplay that. And it's funny, because that's my number one thing in everything that I do. I can give you the tools and the resources to be great at what you do. But if you don't fit my culture, I'm not wasting my time, because you're a cancer in my office. And you'll spread negativity down every hallway. So you got to go.
I think that's one of the things that with my relationship with my coach that they've helped out the most with are those culture decisions, when you start having employees and you've got salespeople that you're responsible for. I mean, they're going to throw you curveballs. They're going to test your culture. They're going to test your leadership and your decision making. Having that person that I can call on a moment's notice to help me with some of those decisions, or better yet, I defer it to my coach. If I go, listen, we can't agree, no problem. Right. Let's let our coach call it. And that's where, so Bubba will sit there and go, no, this is what you're doing. And say, okay, well, there you go. Chairman of the board just made the decision. We're going on with it. It just eliminates all that crap.
Legal arbitrator.
Yeah.
So here's the funny part, though, because Wes, you kind of alluded to this. and I wanted to kind of mention it. You said when you decide you want to run a team, and the biggest thing is, one, the 6 inches between your ears.
Yeah.
But two is, if you're a control freak, a team's not for you. You have to be able to get to a point that says, you know what, I need to start delegating, because if not, you can't run a company. You agree with that?
I agree.
And what was your biggest challenge? When was your aha moment that said, I can't do it? And how did you overcome that part of it to start building that team?
Yeah, my coach told me to time track my day by the half hour, so I'm coachable and I'm a soldier, so I wrote down everything I was doing, and they're like, oh yeah, and you want to highlight them different colors, like support activities, highlight them one color, and the dollar productive activities highlight another color. So for me, I would highlight the supporting activities in pink, because that's not manly like me, right? I'm a tough guy, right. So. And then green for the dollar productive activities, and I'm looking at my days, and I'm going, God, I'm really busy, but I'm not busy with a lot of green stuff. I got to get more green things here. So when I hired Randy, she was actually quitting as the receptionist of the real estate company that I was at. I said, hey, you want to come work with me? And she goes, yeah. What am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Everything that's pink on here, I want you to do those things. That's all I know. That was when we first started our system.
What's your job description? Everything pink.
Just do all those things. So you got to ask yourself. I mean, you got to let go. I mean, at some point, you're exactly right. It's all up here, and you got to. For me, I was a delegator. I mean, I led troops. I had 16 aircraft spread out across the Afghanistan theater, and we were all doing dangerous stuff. So it's not like you can't do that job and be a control freak. I mean, I was a delegator, but I had well-trained air crews that were extremely proficient in what they did, and you got to let go. And you'd be surprised when you focus on that. When you got salespeople that are focusing on just being a buyer specialist or just being a listing partner, it's amazing. They can actually get better. I mean, a lot of times they should be way better than you. My listing partners can kill me on a listing presentation. I mean, I still got it a little bit, but
you still got some game.
I still got some game. Don't get me wrong. But,
well, I got a good question here about hiring. I got a really good question from Ramon Sanchez. Hey, Ramon. Good to see you, buddy. I'm looking to hire a coach or hire an ISA, and what would be a better return on my investment? So I'd like to have a good discussion on this one. Right? Because an ISA makes phone calls, sets appointments in the business, and a coach is just going to make you better at what you do. Let's hear from Wes.
The chicken or the egg, Wes?
Coach, no questions asked. It's single best thing I ever did in my business. The thing is your return on investment, the compound result of a coach is so far greater than having just an ISA. You'll be able to hire that coach is going to get your business running so much better that you're going to need tons of ISAs to handle the leads in the business that you got coming in. So if you're contemplating it, as Bubba just said, hey, everyone on this call, we've all got coaches. So I would get a coach immediately and let them, and the thing is have Corcoran do an analysis on your business. They'll do it for free. That's how I started. They did it, I remember Brenda Corcoran calling me and going through all my business numbers, and I was like, this is cool. She analyzed everything, and then I got a free consultation, and I felt like, wow, this is the business consulting. This is the CEO coaching that I was looking for. And then I found that, it's more than that. It's coaching my team members too. I mean, it's a no-brainer, Ramon.
And I want to chime on that too. That there's a lot of different coaches and different skill sets.
Yep.
So you have sales trainers, teach you how to sell. Here's how to prospect. Here's how to lead follow-up. Here's how to pre-qualify. Here's how to go on appointments. Here's how to overcome objections. Here's how to manage the money just enough where you know what revenue and expenses are, right? And it teaches you the basics of sales training.
Yep.
The type of training that you need when you start thinking about hiring is an entirely different skill set than being a great salesperson. Like someone who's a great salesperson usually is just a great rainmaker is very difficult to work with. So if you're a great rainmaker and you find yourself, I can't hire anyone or no one sticks around here, the problem's you, because you got to have the time to train. You have to come from that servant's heart. I don't know, Bubba. Let's talk about that. Like someone who's a great rainmaker.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk
coaching
well,
you provide with that.
I want to talk about the ISA part of it because there is one nuance to that. Look, I agree. Every one of the coaches at our company, the ROI on it is you can't put a number on it. One, it's not just how much money you're going to make. Wes, I want to ask you this question: from when you started coaching to now, what's your work-life balance look like?
Well, I remember what my wife looks like now, and my children. I will see my children.
It was very beautiful and a sweet lady too.
I know, she's amazing. I totally married up. No, I just got back last night. I was down in Sonoma. I did wine tasting for the first time ever.
Right.
With some other
another set of clients actually.
Yeah, with
right.
The Howards. So yeah, we had a great time. So yeah, I mean, I did that, and my business didn't skip a beat. So I don't know how much more you could say. I travel a lot. I live in Alaska for a reason, and that's to hunt and fish and enjoy everything that this great state has to offer. And I knew I couldn't do that if I'm slugging away doing 100 deals on my own during the summer. Now, that's my question. You were talking about, like, I get people call me and say, I don't know if coaching's right for me. And that's what I always ask them. Do you like working 100-hour work weeks? Because if you do, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to have a life and you want to, enjoy your kids. I mean, I had kids to enjoy them. And so thank you for giving me my life back, or at least showing me. So
now back to that question, though, Frank. Depending on where that individual is in their business, if they are working on a team and already at that part of it, it's going to be a coach for an ISA. If it's an individual agent who's just getting ready to get into it, in my opinion, the most important person you need to hire first is an admin. Because if you don't have an admin, you are one. So that might actually be more important than a coach if you're just starting that part of it, because the coaching is going to start giving you a lot more things to do, and if you don't have help, you're going to fail miserably in the coaching.
Cool. Well, Raymond, good to see you on the Hangout. Thanks for coming, buddy. I know he's a great agent in California.
Awesome.
All right, so
I miss California. I have a house in Oceanside, so I might come by and say hi when I'm out there.
San Diego's nice. Yes, by the way, this event will be recorded, so you'll be able to watch the recording at the very end.
Okay, cool.
Danielle Grigg asks, Wes, at what point did you start giving back to your community?
Oh, my God. Thank you, Danielle, for asking that.
Hi, Danielle. I started giving back to the community, I think, immediately. It's just who I am, and sounds weird, but it kind of started in college. I got into a fraternity, and that's what we did. We did like the hot tubathon, which is a blast down there. 3 nights. It was tough duty, sitting in a hot tub for 3 days, but we like raised money for the soup kitchen or something, and then we went down and we delivered the money, and I thought it was just a party. And then we went down there and we delivered all this money that we had raised, and I said, "Wow, this is actually pretty cool." So I think it's your upbringing and everything as well. I mean, as a kid growing up, I mean, it's the morals and ethics that your parents instill in you, and for me it was military, and then we got in our business, and it's like, what I noticed that. Like, of the people that I knew that were the most giving that I witnessed in my life, they had so that they can give. You know what I mean? So I felt like, if I could run a successful business, I mean, because I can't give money. If you don't have money to give, you can't give. Or, same thing with time. So how do I get time and money so that I can donate those things? I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's not just money. I mean, we've given over $150,000 in the last 6 years to local charities and sponsorships just in interior Alaska. But you start looking at the time and your expertise. Each and every one of you that are on this call, you guys are successful business people who can bring a lot to the table of a local charity or nonprofit or church. I mean, they could really benefit from you have no idea how many struggling nonprofits there are out there because they don't know how to run a business, or they don't know how to market, or so donating just a little bit of your time to those things really added up. That's been really rewarding for us. I serve on a lot of boards, and I've always been very active in the community. And if you happen to get business from it because they associate you with giving back to your community, great. That's what we want to be known for.
But it's not for the business. It's for the giving.
Yeah.
Well, perfect example. You touch on that. When I moved from San Diego to Illinois, don't ask me why, but that's where I live now. From San Diego. there was a local nonprofit here. They were looking. They needed to raise money or whatever. Well, we're all housing experts. I think everybody on this call is a housing expert. So what we did is we opened up a housing arm for the nonprofit. So we would buy houses from HUD on First Look, from Chase, from whatever at discounts because we were nonprofit. We would buy them in East St. Louis, which is the most violent city in the U.S. We would buy them, and then what we would do is work with the local church and be able to get kids off the street. And the kids would work on the house. So they would do the landscaping, the painting, adding fixtures, any of the non-licensed work, and then we would flip it. Well, we paid the kids $8 an hour. We did not book. We did not pay them. We booked it. So when they graduate high school, we cashed them out. So now they have money for pens, paper, food, books, to go to college. We have a kid going to Mizzou who's a starting defensive lineman. These kids would never have the opportunity. And the most amazing part, not one of our houses has ever been broken into. Why is that? Because they now have a sense of community. Yeah. And a lot of times they just didn't have it. You know, you guys are experts. They don't know how to run businesses. They don't know books. They don't know housing. Every single person here can literally get off this Google Hangout and make a phone call to a nonprofit and make a difference. That's just it. You just have to dedicate the time to it.
Yeah, and I think it's also it's a you know, if you're looking at culture, if you're like, man, I don't know where to start with culture. Start first with giving back and get the whole team involved. Say like, hey, this is mandatory. You know, I tell them I'm going to volunteer you to do this. You know,
I love that.
Well, you're all showing up. Trust me, we're doing this. You know, and everyone's like, oh man, we got to go do this, and then you do it, and you're like, wow, this is great. You know, so. We're pretty fortunate. And Fairbanks is a giving community, though. This place, I mean, your neighbor gives their shirt off their back to help someone else, and that's just an Alaska thing in general. But you can bring that anywhere. I mean, like you said, just look for those opportunities, find something you're passionate about, run with it.
To follow up on Lynn's question, I didn't see the second question. Just the question always, you know, what would you do differently when you started building your team?
Yeah, I would start with the end in mind first. I mean, all too often we, like Bubba said, you know, you start off successful solo agent, then you grow this team, and the next thing you know, you're like, well, I don't know really where to go. I would, if you have the wherewithal to actually start with the end in mind, and you know, with your business plan, you know, for, you know, whether that's I want to retire with X amount in the bank and doing nothing but philanthropy for the rest of my life. You know, after I retire, or maybe I sell, or maybe I sell, you know, maybe I sell to my employees or something. You know, whatever it is that it is, you should have some sort of exit strategy in mind, and then work backwards. You know, just like, you know, it's just good business planning. I think all too often we get into the business and it starts growing, and you go, oh shoot, I don't necessarily know how to like get out of this thing. Like, where do we go from here? And so you kind of go through this. I know we did. Is we didn't really know where we were going with this, you know, are we gonna blow this up and make this, you know, what do we really want? And I think you need to ask yourself that question: where do I really want to take this? And be honest with yourself. And then again, it's where coaching comes in and helps you, because a lot of times when you're knee deep into the whirlwind, it's hard to really see the opportunities and the challenges with a clear perspective. But you have someone else on the outside, it's so obvious sometimes what you need to do. And that's where that perspective comes in, and so you need to surround yourself with people like that, and you know, coaching.
Well, so I'm going to redirect that real quick.
Yeah.
I think literally what, and Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong. You can't hear me. Call me on the cell phone if you need to. I think what they're looking for, great, the end in sight. I think a lot of times what happens, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you build a team, the most important thing to you is sales, lead gen. However, a lot of people don't look at the processes and how much money you're losing in the meantime.
Oh, sure.
So if you were to look at your business from when you started and built the team, was it fluent? Was there a lot of processes in place? Did you have a system, or was it just throwing crap against the wall and seeing what sticks?
Yeah, okay. So what I wanted was a company that was, you know, for me to step out of production and have the same level of service, if not better, with me not actually doing the work, so I can focus on bigger things. But really, at the end of the day, Lynn, you know, my business attracts. I mean, up until like 2 years ago, I wasn't even actively recruiting for agents. We just attracted people to our company because they saw what we were doing. They knew that our people were successful. Our people walked, talked, and acted different. and it was obvious in the community. I mean, we would get referrals from other clients with other agents, because they're like, man, we were on this home inspection. Your agent was there. They were so professional. They were so polite. They were so conscientious. I was just blown away. And like these are the clients of other realtors, and they're going, we're going to refer everybody to you guys because you guys just handled yourself so well. And that was just one of our agents, and just you keep having that happen through that culture, and it's a special thing. And that opportunity that you're able to provide for folks. I mean, we just got some life-changing stories with some of our folks that we're pretty proud of. And at the end of the day, it's that's really kind of the significance piece of what we do, and I always kind of loop back to that to get my head straight, is think about the lives that we've changed just within our own group. So it's very rewarding.
Cool.
Scott, did you have any more on there?
No, that's all of our questions, man. I mean,
okay. Hey, look, I want to talk about this real quick because a lot of people still have this challenge in business is they're good, they're making a good living, they're doing good. When do you make the decision on being able to invest money into lead gen? As you started your business and, yes, door knocking, handshaking, business card, look, I'm going to work for you harder than anybody else. I'll answer my phone. It's not a great saying. It's sad that we have to say that in the industry, but it's true. But there's a point in time in a business that says, okay, I'm at this point. When was that point for you to say, you know what, you get what you pay for, and sometimes you got to make an investment. But when you're starting, it's jumping off a cliff. You don't know what's going on. So let's talk about that experience, Wes.
We look for one of the things that we do as part of Corcoran Coaching and Consulting is we track all of our media sources, so we're able to actually attribute a return on investment for each source of lead that we have. And obviously, I think if, as we talked about when we start off, what better ROI can you have than your sphere of influence, people that already love you, and your past clients who you've already kind of made that emotional investment in, So I think outside of that, you start, internet leads are a huge opportunity, although a flooded market. You got to have a culture of accountability and systems in place where you're holding your people accountable. Because quite honestly, it's not about lead generation. It's about lead conversion. I mean, the difference between a team that sells 1,000 houses and one that sells 100 is it's just usually just accountability. I mean, if you just look at the number of leads. If you're tracking your business, I want you to look back the last 12 months and track the number of leads that you've generated. And if you don't know that number, start tracking it. And then start tracking the number of closed business that you get off that. I'm willing to show anybody that wants to see how we track our business. But what it'll show you is like we're converting at a really a pitiful rate with internet-based leads. I mean, we're at 4.7%. Lead to sell conversion based on what I'm seeing right now, which I'm actually proud of, but that sounds terrible.
You were down in the twos at one time.
Oh yeah, no, you did the numbers. You're like, oh my God.
Twos. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just squandering leads, right? And it's really to get, the thing is you look back at that number, we were actually better when we had less leads. And one of the things that we trained with Corcoran was limiting to 100 leads. You can't manage that many people, yeah. So. That's where like the inside sales agent positions kind of come about because of just the ability to just over inundate these teams with leads, and it's definitely a model. I mean, if that's what you're into, I would just rather be more productive, have the agents more successful because they're not so strung out and we're not losing business. Because you start doing some searches. What I would do is I'd have a listing, it would sell. I would do a search in our system and find that okay, they were already in our CRM. We didn't convert this lead. They bought one of our listings and they bought with someone else. So what does that tell you? It's we had the ability to convert that lead. It didn't happen because we probably had too many leads. So too many leads can be an issue. I would consult with your coach before buying any product. That's another thing. The nice thing about if a new product comes out, I don't have time to watch a demo. All I do is call Bubba and say, hey, what do you think of this thing, man? He's like, hold off. They're not done with the, I got other clients that are dealing with this. I'm like, great. I just wait till those bugs get worked out and there's some a lot of the feedback's been great, and then I'm probably going to get some sort of better deal through Corcoran anyways, and then we'll use that system. But we're pretty simple from that perspective, from a lead gen standpoint.
Gentlemen, I want to talk about that real quick, Frank, so people can understand that. We are different from a lot of other coaching companies. One, we've never taken a dime from any vendor. They come to us, they get vetted, and all we ask them to do is provide either free or discounted services for a number of clients to be able to beta test the product, beat the crap out of it, and come back to them when one needs to be fixed for it to be a vetted company. They say, I don't want to do it. Great, you're not vetted. Go on your merry way. If they do it and they do become a quality vendor, then they are vetted to us, and they all offer us money, $200-300 a month sometimes, whatever it comes down to. We've never taken a dime. What we ask is that they pass that savings on to our client. And that's one thing we have always done and one thing we will always do. Because, and as a coach, if somebody comes to me, and we've been with Boomtown forever, and Commissions Inc. had us smoking back into the product. Commissions Inc., if they came to me and I'm getting money from Boomtown, I couldn't say anything about Commissions Inc. It takes the integrity of my company out of it. So we've never taken a dime. So anytime we mention a company, it's because they've been vetted. And we save our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from not getting crappy products, from not getting – look, Wes is a sales guy. He's the easiest guy to sell. And the only thing Wes has to say now is one thing. You know what? Let me talk to my coach and I'll get back to you. We're the jerks instead of him.
Against coaching advice. I get that.
ACA.
I want to answer the question from Raymond. He's with KW, so he's obviously, he says, what's the difference between MAPS coaching and Corcoran coaching? And specifically, if I want to get to the 7th level.
All right, so I'll put it this way. Look, MAPS is an awesome program. They do amazing results. We are different than MAPS, and I'll explain how we're different. We coach as a team 4 teams. So what happens with us is, perfect example, like we were saying earlier with Wes. Wes is go coach. Say I'm the coach. Actually, Bob's Wes's coach. So Bob's coaching Wes. His operations manager has a problem. They're going to call in, right? And the thing with it is we don't charge any extra for any phone calls. We have our scheduled, every other week calls just like everybody else. We don't charge extra for phone calls. We coach as a team for a team. So if a buyer's agent has a problem, who do they call, Wes?
They call Bob.
Yep. If the sales manager has a problem, the CFO has a problem, whatever, we are open that way. We coach as a team for teams. That's what we specify. And look, we have hundreds of KW offices that we coach that like us over MAPS. And we've lost clients to MAPS. MAPS is a good coaching company. I have nothing bad to say about them. We are different than what they do. We are more of a high touch and a holistic coaching atmosphere than the way that MAPS does it. We're different that way. Hopefully that explains it.
Sure.
And I think to tie into that, from my experience, it's when Bubba says holistic, I'm in Fairbanks, Alaska, man. Everything's different here. So to be able to take you're not every business fits into a box, and so I've just really enjoyed about we've really kind of customized the experience with us, which is great. So
cool. Well, let's wrap it up. We're all done. Wes, thanks so much.
You bet.
Yeah, I got to say this real quick before we get off this phone. Wes, I got to say this thing, right? I want everybody to look at their business, and I want you to think of the most difficult thing that you do in your business that you hate the most. If it's door knocking or cold calling or whatever, and all I want you to do is take a picture of Wes's face. Get your phones out and take a picture of Wes. And I want you to think about this. His agent wearing skirts with boots on in 6-foot snow, 40 degrees below, doing an open house. Don't ever complain about what you do for a living ever again. I commend you for that, Wes.
I gotta post some of those pictures up, actually.
I'm telling you. Hey, you know what, Wes? I always love talking to you. You're an amazing human being. Look, you're a great roaster. Don't get me wrong. You are an amazing human being and a great model as an entrepreneur on. It's just doing right for the community. It's about corporate responsibility. It's about giving back, taking care of your team, having a culture, not just people that work in the company, but when they leave the office, that they still live in that culture and that value. That's the most powerful thing. And I don't think you actually get commended enough for you being a great entrepreneur, or you being a great husband, having a work-life balance, making those sacrifices. And I commend you for that. And of course, as prior military and serving, protecting our freedom, I commend you for that, Wes. I really do.
Yeah, thanks, Bubba. Appreciate it, man. And that, this being Memorial Day weekend, definitely have a great time this weekend. I got to give a shout out and just say, take time to say your prayer and talk to your loved ones about those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. It's remember what the weekend's about. So.
Yeah. Real quick, look, I've got business consultants sitting here. They're going to stay here for the next hour. And as Wes said, it's a free business consult. You can give us a call, 800-957-8353, or just send an email. It's real easy. successteam@corcorancoaching.com, and we'll be happy to schedule an appointment with you guys. Look, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Wes. Frank, again, an amazing job, amazing quality product, just high level. And you know what? People don't understand you are a lead gen. You are a past client program. You work on every aspect of the business. People don't understand that. And you're a great value to the industry, and I appreciate your time on that.
Thank you, Bubba.
Yeah. All right, guys. God bless. Have an amazing weekend.